Hey, check out some of these true stories I have encountered. Some are fake. You will be able to tell. Please enjoy, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thanks. The Narco Princesses. The escape. The sea stretched endlessly in every direction, a cold expanse of black that swallowed the moonlight. The boat, a rickety thing barely held together by rusted nails and desperation, creaked with every wave. Lucia clung to its edge, her fingers digging into the splintered wood. Her stomach twisted, not just from the relentless rocking, but from the suffocating fear that had pressed down on her since the moment she stepped aboard. Beside her, Isabela sat curled into herself, her body wrapped in a thin, grimy blanket that did nothing against the biting wind. Isabela's face was pale, her lips cracked and dry. She hadn't said much since they left Veracruz, her voice lost somewhere between the rising seas and the oppressive weight of their situation. Lucia wanted to comfort her, but what could she say? That everything would be okay? That the stories of these crossings, of death, violence, and betrayal, were just exaggerated rumors? She couldn't lie to Isabela, not to the girl, who had been by her side since they were both thrown into the orphanage like unwanted scraps. Instead, she kept watch, her sharp eyes scanning the crowd of passengers packed into the boat like livestock. The air stank of sweat and salt, of fear and despair. Children cried in weak, high-pitched wails that no one tried to soothe anymore. A man muttered prayers in rapid Spanish, clutching a rosary so tightly that his knuckles had gone white. Others stared blankly ahead, their faces hollowed out by hunger and dread. Lucia and Isabela had paid everything they had, every peso scraped together from years of street hustling and small-time thieving to board this boat. It was supposed to be their ticket to freedom, to a new life in America where they could start over. But freedom came at a cost, and the cost of this crossing wasn't just money. Lucia had seen what happened to the ones who didn't comply, who hesitated, who dared to question. On the second night, a young man, barely older than her, had asked too many questions about where the boat was heading. The smugglers dragged him to the edge without a word and threw him into the sea. The splash was swallowed by the waves almost instantly, and no one dared to react. Then there were the guards, men who prowled the deck with dead eyes and cruel hands, searching for ways to pass the time. Lucia had seen one of them grab a girl, no older than 10, by her hair, and drag her below deck. The girl's mother had tried to fight, but the guard struck her so hard she crumpled to the floor. No one intervened. No one could. Lucia had made herself a promise after that. No one would touch Isabela. She would kill before she let that happen. When one of the guards had tried to pull Isabela aside the night before, Lucia didn't hesitate. She grabbed a shard of glass from the floorboards, probably from some long-forgotten bottle, and slashed at his arm. He screamed, blood gushing down his sleeve, but he backed off. The other guards laughed, calling him a coward, and that bought Lucia and Isabela another day of safety. Now, as the boat lurched violently, throwing passengers against one another, Lucia tightened her grip on the edge. "Just hold on, Osa," she whispered, her voice low and steady. "We're almost there. We'll make it, I swear." Isabel's eyes flickered open, dull and glassy. "Do you think it's better there, or just another kind of hell?" Lucia didn't answer. She didn't know. The boat reached the shores of Miami just before dawn, the city skyline shimmering like a mirage on the horizon. The passengers were herded off the vessel like cattle, their feet sinking into the cold, wet sand. The air smelled different here, cleaner, but strange. Lucia barely had time to catch her breath before a man with a clipboard and a sneer began shouting orders. "Move! Line up!" he barked, waving a flashlight in their faces. "No stopping!" Lucia grabbed Isabella's arm, pulling her into the line. Her legs felt weak, every step a struggle after days of cramped misery on the boat. They were marched toward an abandoned warehouse, its broken windows like empty eyes staring down at them. Inside, the smugglers demanded the rest of their payment. Cries and protests erupted as passengers pleaded that they had nothing left, their voices breaking with desperation. The guards didn't care. Those who couldn't pay were dragged to the side, their fates uncertain. Lucia reached into her shoe and pulled out a crumpled $50 bill, the last of their money. She shoved it into the man's hand before he could question her. He eyed her for a long moment, his gaze sliding to Isabela, but finally he waved them through. That night, they sat under an overpass, the city lights flickering in the distance. The world felt impossibly big here, every shadow stretching longer, every sound louder. They shared a stolen loaf of bread in silence, their bodies trembling from exhaustion and cold. "We made it," Lucia finally said, though the words felt hollow. Isabela didn't respond. She stared at the ground, her eyes unfocused. Lucia leaned closer, her voice firm despite the knot of fear in her chest. "Listen to me, Isa. This is it. This is our chance. We're going to make something of ourselves. I don't care what it takes." Isabela's lips twitched into a faint smile. "Like a queen." "Yeah," Lucia said, her voice hardening. "Like a queen. And I'm going to make sure no one ever looks down on us again." The city hummed around them, alive with possibility and danger, and somewhere deep in her chest, Lucia felt it, a spark, small but burning. She didn't know what lay ahead, but she knew one thing for certain. She wouldn't stop until she had everything she'd ever dreamed of, and she'd take Isabela with her every step of the way. She was going to make things change. Her plan started to form before her eyes.